Hey everyone, it's Taylor, your DM and lore master of the Tantalus Tales, coming to you for the May question and answering Q&A. If you notice, sitting next to me, our co-founder and writer Colleen rolled a D20 and got a nat 20 on her stealth check. She is actually not here. It's just me. Hi. Um, so, I was trusted to do this myself this month, so we'll see how it goes. I've got a few questions here from some of our supporters, and I will be doing my best to answer them by myself. Quick before we jump into things, we have a design for a shirt to possibly do for selling. If you are interested in that, please let us know either through the Facebook, through Twitter, um, or at the Tantalus Tales at gmail.com. This is one design we're looking at possibly doing a few other designs for people to support us by what they're wearing. So let's get started here with the first question I've got on my list. You mentioned Sparks was named for a friend in real life. What made you go with an engineering Iquiwi? Sparks, as some of you have noticed, also as a spoiler alert, if you have not watched up to episode 7, as what we will be commenting on in this installment of our Q&A. So you have been warned, I guess. But Sparks, the Iquiwi, is named for Elta Sparks, a good friend of ours and also winner of one of our first contests to have an NPC named after them. And with Sparks, the only thing we could really think of, like immediately, was something engineering wise, and having seen a homebrew race of the Iquiwi, which are these tiny little owl bears. We knew we had to add those together, so we made Sparks a Iquiwi who is a part of the engineering department on the Tantalus Institute, and I hope Elta enjoys it as much as we enjoyed making it. But yeah, no, engineering Iquiwi, that's, yeah. Our next question we've got is, as a DM, do you have your players get dice, or do you allow dice rolling apps on phones or tablets? I know for the first few episodes, I don't think everyone had dice for ours. We had some people using, some of us were using some dice rolling apps, but dice rolling apps do not make the clicky clack, shiny rock niceness that dice do. And but also, as a podcast, depending on what you're rolling on, can be rather loud. So I actually picked up, and I still have to get them to them. But I picked up these fantastic little dice trays for all of our players, so that we can still use the dice and it doesn't just completely bump up the volume in our recordings. But we're fairly loose with how we do things. If somebody needs to use it, that's fine. I trust my players not to cheat in any way possible. Another DM question, looking at your player characters. No one seems to be a typical healer class. Why don't you have a paladin or a cleric? Well, we did have a paladin for the first arc, Richard, he I think did more damage to himself than healing anything. Uh, but again, as we are fairly lenient and such, I didn't really want my players to be forced into a role that they didn't really want to play. So I let them choose what they wanted to play, and so we've got our fighter, our ranger, and our warlock. Our ranger has some healing stuff, and I think he's done the most healing out of any of the players at this point. But not having a set cleric or paladin gives me an opportunity to introduce extra characters should they need it. At the point that they're at now, I don't think I've thrown anything too dire at them that they may die or need healing, and we are again fairly lenient with the long rests and whatnot, because this is mostly about us all having fun and telling a fun story. But yeah, that's why we don't have a paladin or cleric in the main group. I'm sure down the line things will be introduced and we'll have some interesting characters to show you. Speaking of interesting characters, if you're watching this and you want to have a chance at having a character named after you, if you were to tweet at us using the hashtag the Tantalus Tales, we are looking to add character names as we go along in the story. So if you are interested in that, feel free to tweet that out or share our Facebook posts, whatever. We delve into our fan base to find names for characters a lot of the time, and we'll be doing so more in the future. So if that's something that's up your alley, feel free. The next question I've got is Vern, to put it in Orenthil's words, is kind of wacky. What inspired Vern? Vern might be one of my favorite NPCs, mainly on the reasoning that I get to have a lot of fun with Vern. When Vern was one of the first NPCs that I had planned out for this adventure, but it wasn't until close to when we introduced him in the story that we actually had a name for Vern. For the longest time, he was just the gold dragonborn trader character, trader as in merchant, because I wanted, as soon as I had the idea that they would go to multiple worlds and things with the Tantalus Institute, I wanted to have a character that could get them things from other planes, and that's Vern. He is, I think, most inspired by the I'm a huge Disney nut, and one of my favorite Disney characters is the genie, and specifically with Vern, I wanted to make a character sort of based around the peddler from the beginning of Aladdin, and I think Vern does a wonderful job of filling that character void, because he poofs in and out of everywhere, because he's got other stands throughout the thing, and it also leaves us open to make our own mess of weird items and stuff with his between his if I don't have it, it doesn't exist, and if it doesn't exist, I still probably can get it thing. Is that we can do things that aren't in the book the player's handbook or the DM's guide or the uh, guide to everything. So we can make our own fun items and armor and stuff, just to make it a little wackier. Um, but yeah, no. Between Vern and Spider, I think that gives us a an opportunity to kind of bring a little more of our own excitement into the world. Uh, and the last question I have is a little shorter this month due to the fact that it's only me, uh, and I'm trying to cut down my ranting, because I will talk forever with you guys if left unchecked. So Colleen has given me these 5 questions she picked out specifically for me to ask. And your last question that I have for you today is, the dream team was interesting. Will we be seeing more of them in the future? Uh, the dream team introduced the end of episode 6, and the majority of episode 7 was them fighting the dream team in a wonderfully I had a lot of fun with the fight scene. I expected it to be a little closer, but my players do very well with the items they are given. Dream Team consists of Chaz, uh, Ignostos, and Dazzledred, uh, a Drow Elf, a Tabaxi, and a Dwarf with a a bedazzled Warhammer. They were fun to come up with, and I'm sure they'll show up again. I mainly wanted to one, give them a chance to do some fighting on the Institute before we sent them out anywhere, uh, and I also wanted to introduce the fact that there are more than just them as rectifiers, and that maybe we'll find more teams going down the line. So, being that they're the, uh, well, I suppose I can't really call them the best team anymore since they were beaten by by Team Two, as we so aptly called our player characters. Uh, I'm sure they'll show up again sometime. Uh, yeah, I enjoy them a lot, so I'm sure they'll come back. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what I've got for you guys today. Uh, if those weren't your questions, I'm sure they'll show up again. We've got a backlog of a few more to ask, and if you want to ask any questions, just send us a email at the Tantalus Tales at gmail.com would be the easiest way to get your questions answered. Trying to do this, like I mentioned, every month for our Patreon supporters in the $5 or more tier, benefits to having that. So if you know somebody who is interested in helping us out through Patreon, share us around. But all of you sharing and commenting and helping us out with, like, for instance, our character creation clash finished a couple weeks ago now, and we have our voted on by our fans NPC that'll be showing up in chapter 3, a fearless bard, a little cat bard, and I am very excited to see how that goes. We're currently looking for names for our fearless bard. We have some that have been commented. If you have any ideas, please share them with us. Whoever we pick will get credited in the podcast itself. And yeah, thank you to all of our Patreon supporters for helping us out and doing what we do. You all help us grow exponentially, because without your financial help, we're just doing the lowest amount possible, and you help us do much better. And I want to thank all of the people that have talked to me in not only online but in real life about the podcast. They are just hearing about how much people are enjoying this really makes me want to continue with this, and it makes me feel good. So thank you. But I will continue to go on and on if I don't stop myself now. But thank you again, and I will have to see you guys again soon. Our next show episode comes up on the 5th of June. That'll be episode 8, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you all think of that one. Yeah. Thank you so much again. Enjoy the rest of your day, your night, your whatever it is for you while you're listening to this. Thank you. Bye, guys.